You know, right now, in this very moment, something in your life is changing. Maybe it's something small, maybe it's everything. Your job, your relationships, your health, your finances, the way you see yourself, the way others see you. Change is happening, whether you invited it or not. And I want to talk to you about something that matters more than anything else when you're standing in the middle of all that uncertainty. I want to talk to you about trust. Real trust. The kind of trust that doesn't depend on your circumstances looking good. The kind of trust that holds you steady when the ground beneath your feet feels like it's crumbling away. You see, most of us have been taught to trust in things we can see and touch and control. We trust our bank accounts. We trust our jobs. We trust our relationships. We trust our abilities. And there's nothing wrong with any of those things. But here's what happens. When those things start to shift and change, when the money gets tight, when the job disappears, when the relationship falls apart, when our abilities seem to fail us, we panic. We panic because we've placed our trust in things that were never meant to hold the full weight of our security. We've been trusting in the creation instead of the creator. We've been trusting in the gifts instead of the giver. We've been looking at the waves instead of the one who walks on water. Now, I'm not here to tell you that change is easy. I'm not here to pretend that it doesn't hurt when things fall apart. I'm not here to give you some kind of spiritual bypass where you just smile and pretend everything's fine when it's not. What I'm here to tell you is that there is a power in you and around you and through you that is greater than any change you will ever face. There is a source of strength that never runs dry. There is a presence that never leaves you, no matter how alone you feel. And learning to trust that presence, learning to rely on that power, learning to lean into that source is the single most important thing you can do with your life. Let me tell you something about God, about source, about the universe, about whatever name you want to use for that infinite intelligence that creates and sustains all life. This power is not outside of you, judging you from some distant throne in the sky. This power is not waiting for you to get your act together before it helps you. This power is not punishing you with change to teach you a lesson. No, this power is in you. It is the very essence of who you are. It is the breath in your lungs right now. It is the force that beats your heart without you having to think about it. It is the intelligence that heals your cuts and fights off illness and grows your hair and digests your food. This same intelligence that knows how to create galaxies and spin planets and bring forth life from a single seed, this intelligence is living in you, as you, through you, right now. And here's the beautiful thing. This intelligence, this God force, this source energy, it knows what it's doing. It really does, even when you don't. Even when everything looks like chaos. Even when you can't see the path forward. Even when you've tried everything and nothing has worked. This intelligence that created you has not forgotten you. It has not abandoned you. It is not confused about what you need. It is orchestrating things behind the scenes that you cannot see. It is preparing solutions before you even knew you had a problem. It is arranging meetings and opportunities and circumstances that will blow your mind when you look back on them later. But here's where most people get stuck. They want to trust God, they really do, but they want to trust God their way. They want to tell God how things should work out. They want to give God a deadline. They want to explain to God the only acceptable solution to their problem. They say they trust, but what they really mean is, I trust God to do exactly what I think should happen, in exactly the way I think it should happen, in exactly the time frame I think it should happen. And that's not trust. That's control with a spiritual label on it. Real trust means letting go. It means surrendering your need to know how and when and where and why. It means releasing your grip on the outcome. It means saying, I don't know how this is going to work out, but I trust that it will work out. I don't know what the solution is, but I trust that there is a solution. I don't know why this is happening, but I trust that there is a reason, even if I never understand it. That's trust. That's faith. That's what it means to really rely on something greater than your own limited perspective. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You don't know how bad things are. You don't know what I'm going through. How can I trust when everything is falling apart? And you're right. I don't know your specific situation, but I do know this. I know that the same power that created the sunrise this morning is the same power that lives in you. I know that the same intelligence that knows how to turn winter into spring knows how to turn your winter into spring. I know that the same force that brings life out of death, that brings light out of darkness, that brings order out of chaos, that force is working in your life right now, whether you can see it or not. Change is not your enemy. I need you to really hear this. Change is not your enemy. Change is life itself. Life is always moving, always growing, always evolving, always becoming. Nothing in nature stays the same. The caterpillar doesn't stay a caterpillar. The seed doesn't stay a seed. The child doesn't stay a child. And you are nature. You are part of this great unfolding. The changes you're experiencing, even the painful ones, even the scary ones, even the ones you didn't ask for, they are part of your evolution. They are part of your growth. They are preparing you for something you cannot yet see. Think about it. Every single time something has changed in your life before, even when you thought it was the worst thing that could happen, even when you couldn't see any way through it, you survived. You made it through. You're here right now, which means you have a 100% success rate of getting through difficult times. 100%. And you didn't do that alone. You were carried. You were guided. You were supported by this invisible force that never left your side. But here's what I want you to understand. Trusting God doesn't mean sitting around waiting for life to happen to you. Trusting God doesn't mean being passive and doing nothing. Trusting God means taking inspired action while releasing your attachment to the outcome. It means doing what's in front of you to do, doing it to the best of your ability, and then trusting that your efforts are being multiplied by a power greater than yourself. It means showing up, doing your part, and then getting out of the way and letting God do God's part. You see, there's a difference between effort and struggle. Effort is taking action with ease and flow. Struggle is taking action with resistance and force. When you trust, you can make effort without struggle. You can work hard without wearing yourself out. You can pursue your goals without being attached to them. You can desire change without demanding it. You can hope for better without being devastated if it doesn't come in the way you expected. And here's something else that's really important. When you truly trust God, when you truly surrender to this higher power, you stop comparing yourself to other people. You stop looking at what they have and feeling like you're missing out. You stop wondering why things seem easier for them. You stop judging your life by someone else's timeline, because you understand that your path is your path. Your timing is your timing. Your lessons are your lessons. What's meant for you will find you. What's not meant for you will pass you by, and that's a blessing, not a curse. So many people are stressed and anxious and worried because they're trying to force things that aren't ready to happen yet. They're trying to open doors that are meant to stay closed. They're trying to make relationships work that are meant to end. They're trying to hold on to jobs that are meant to be released. They're trying to stay in places they've outgrown. And all of that forcing and pushing and controlling creates so much unnecessary suffering. But when you trust, when you really trust, you can relax, you can breathe, you can be present. You can enjoy your life even while things are changing because you know that you're being led somewhere better. Now, let's talk about fear for a minute, because fear is the opposite of trust. Fear says, it's all up to me. If I don't make this happen, it won't happen. If I don't worry about it, something bad will happen. If I don't control every detail, everything will fall apart. Fear keeps you up at night. Fear makes you sick. Fear ruins your relationships. Fear steals your joy. And fear is a liar. Fear is not telling you the truth about who you are or what's possible for you. When fear shows up, and it will show up because you're human and that's normal, I want you to do something different than what you've probably been doing. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to push it away. Don't judge yourself for feeling afraid. Instead, acknowledge it. Say, okay, fear, I see you. I know you're trying to protect me. I know you're trying to keep me safe, but I don't need you right now. I'm safe. I'm guided. I'm protected by something much greater than you. And then turn your attention back to trust. Turn your attention back to God. Turn your attention back to that still, small voice inside of you that knows everything is going to be okay. You know what that voice sounds like? It's quiet. It's gentle. It's peaceful. It doesn't scream. It doesn't demand. It doesn't panic. It simply says, be still, be patient, be present. I've got this. I've got you. And when you learn to listen to that voice more than you listen to the voice of fear, your whole life changes. Not because your circumstances magically become perfect, but because you become unshakable in the midst of imperfect circumstances. Let me tell you about something I call divine timing. There is a perfect time for everything. There's a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to build and a time to tear down, a time to speak and a time to be silent, a time to hold on and a time to let go. And God knows that timing. Source knows that timing. The universe knows that timing. But we don't always know it. We think we know. We think we've got it all figured out. We think we know exactly when something should happen. And then it doesn't happen when we think it should, and we get frustrated and angry, and we lose faith. But what if the delay is part of the plan? What if the waiting is preparing you? What if the closed door is protecting you from something you can't see? What if the detour is leading you to something better than what you originally wanted? What if the change you're resisting is actually the change that's going to save your life? I've seen this happen over and over again. Someone loses a job they thought they'd have forever, and 6 months later they're in a better job they never would have applied for if they hadn't been let go. Someone goes through a painful breakup, and a year later they meet the person they're actually supposed to be with. Someone gets sick and has to slow down, and in that slowness they find their true purpose. Someone loses everything and has to rebuild, and in the rebuilding they become the person they were always meant to be. The change you're going through right now, the thing that's scaring you, the thing that's keeping you up at night, the thing you're praying will just go back to the way it was, what if that's the best thing that could be happening to you? What if that's God answering prayers you didn't even know you prayed? What if that's the universe clearing the path for something so much better than you can currently conceive? But you have to trust. You have to let go. You have to stop fighting and start flowing. You have to stop resisting and start allowing. You have to stop trying to control everything and start surrendering to the wisdom that knows more than you do. And I want to be clear about something. Surrendering doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become a doormat or you let people walk all over you. Surrendering means you do what you can do, and then you trust God to do what you can't do. Surrendering means you plant the seeds, but you don't try to control the weather. Surrendering means you show up with love and effort and commitment, but you release the need to force outcomes. Here's a practice I want you to try. Every morning when you wake up, before you check your phone, before you start thinking about all the things you have to do, before you start worrying about all the things that could go wrong, I want you to take 3 deep breaths. And with each breath, I want you to say something. With the first breath, say, I trust. With the second breath, say, I am guided. With the third breath, say, all is well. That's it. Just 3 breaths. 3 simple statements. But if you do this every single day, you will begin to reprogram your mind. You will begin to shift your energy. You will begin to align yourself with the truth of who you are and what's available to you. And throughout the day, whenever you notice yourself getting anxious or worried or fearful about the changes happening around you, come back to your breath. Come back to those statements. I trust. I am guided. All is well. You don't have to believe it at first. You don't have to feel it at first. Just say it. Just practice it. Just offer it up to the universe as a prayer, as an intention, as a declaration of what you choose to focus on. Because here's the thing. Your mind is always creating your reality. What you focus on expands. What you give your attention to grows. If you focus on everything that's going wrong, you'll see more things going wrong. If you focus on how unfair life is, you'll experience more unfairness. If you focus on lack and limitation and fear, that's what will multiply in your experience. But if you focus on trust, if you focus on guidance, if you focus on the goodness and intelligence and love of the creative force that's running this whole show, then that's what starts to show up more and more in your life. This isn't about denying reality. This isn't about pretending problems don't exist. This is about choosing where you place your attention. This is about training your mind to look for evidence of God's presence instead of evidence of God's absence. This is about asking better questions. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, what is this teaching me? Instead of asking, when will this end? Ask, how can I grow through this? Instead of asking, why doesn't God care about me? Ask, how is God working in my life right now, even if I can't see it? And let me tell you something about miracles. Miracles are happening all the time. They're not rare occurrences reserved for special people. They're the natural result of aligning yourself with the miraculous power that creates life itself. But most people miss the miracles because they're looking for something big and dramatic and obvious. They're waiting for the sky to open up and a voice to boom down with clear instructions. They're waiting for their problems to disappear overnight. They're waiting for circumstances to change before they change their thinking. But miracles often come in small ways. They come in the form of a kind word from a stranger right when you needed it. They come in the unexpected check in the mail. They come in the solution that pops into your head out of nowhere. They come in the door that opens right after another door closes. They come in the strength you didn't know you had. They come in the peace that passes understanding. They come in the knowing that you're going to be okay even when nothing around you suggests that you should feel that way. Start looking for miracles. Start expecting miracles. Start thanking God for miracles before they even show up, because gratitude is magnetic. Gratitude attracts more things to be grateful for. When you say thank you for what you have, you make room for more. When you appreciate the good that's already present in your life, you open the door for more good to flow in. And yes, I know it's hard to feel grateful when you're going through hard times. I know it's challenging to say thank you when you're losing something or someone you love. But this is exactly when gratitude becomes most powerful. This is when gratitude becomes an act of faith. This is when saying thank you in advance for the good that's coming becomes a declaration of trust. So right now, wherever you are, whatever you're facing, I want you to say thank you. Thank you for the lessons. Thank you for the growth. Thank you for the strength you're developing. Thank you for the changes that are clearing space for something better. Thank you for the difficulties that are revealing what really matters. Thank you for the pain that's breaking you open to more love and compassion. Thank you for the uncertainty that's teaching you to trust. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You see, when you live in a state of gratitude, when you live in a state of trust, when you live in a state of surrender to the divine flow of life, you stop being a victim of your circumstances. You stop feeling powerless. You stop waiting for someone or something outside of you to rescue you. Because you realize that the power to experience peace, the power to feel joy, the power to be free, that power is already inside of you. It's not dependent on your circumstances being a certain way. It's not dependent on people treating you a certain way. It's not dependent on having a certain amount of money or achieving a certain level of success. It's dependent on your connection to Source. It's dependent on your alignment with God. It's dependent on your willingness to trust what you cannot see. And this is where so many people get tripped up. They say they want to trust God, but they keep trying to do it on their own. They pray for help, and then they don't allow themselves to receive help. They ask for guidance, and then they ignore the signs and synchronicities that show up. They want a miracle, but they're not willing to change their thinking. They want their life to be different, but they're not willing to be different. Trusting God means becoming a cooperative partner with the divine. It means listening to your intuition. It means following the nudges. It means taking the inspired action even when it doesn't make logical sense. It means saying yes to opportunities that scare you. It means saying no to things that don't align with your truth. It means being willing to look foolish. It means being willing to fail. It means being willing to not have all the answers. It means being willing to walk by faith, not by sight. And let me tell you, when you start really trusting, when you start really surrendering, when you start really allowing God to lead your life, things start to happen that you couldn't have made happen on your own. Doors open that you didn't even knock on. People show up with exactly what you need. Resources appear from unexpected sources. Solutions present themselves in ways you never would have thought of. Your path becomes clear even though you couldn't see 2 feet in front of you before. But you have to be patient. You have to be willing to not know. You have to be okay with the mystery. You have to be comfortable with the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Because that gap is where faith lives. That gap is where trust is developed. That gap is where you learn that you're being held by something greater than yourself. Think about a trapeze artist. When they let go of one bar, there's a moment where they're hanging in midair, not holding on to anything before they catch the next bar. That moment is terrifying, but it's also necessary. You can't hold on to the old bar and grab the new bar at the same time. You have to let go. You have to trust that the next bar will be there. You have to trust that you won't fall. You have to trust in the physics, in the timing, in the training, in the net below you. That's where you are right now. You're in the in-between. You've let go of what was, but you haven't yet grabbed onto what's next. And it feels scary because you're not in control. But you are safe. You are held. You are guided. The net is there. The next bar is there. You just have to trust and keep your hands open and ready to receive. And while you're in this in-between space, this is the perfect time to get clear about what you really want. Not what you think you should want. Not what other people want for you. Not what you wanted 5 years ago when you were a different person. But what you, right now, in this present moment, truly desire for your life. Because God wants to give you the desires of your heart. But first you have to know what those desires are. You have to be honest about them. You have to stop censoring yourself. You have to stop telling yourself that what you want is too much or too silly or too impossible. Nothing is impossible for God. Nothing is too big. Nothing is too complicated. Nothing is beyond the creative power of the universe. The only limits are the ones you place on yourself. The only restrictions are the ones you accept as truth. The only impossibilities are the ones you believe in. So what do you really want? What would make your heart sing? What would make you feel alive? What would make you feel fulfilled? What would bring you joy? And I'm not talking about surface wants. I'm not talking about things that are just going to temporarily make you feel better. I'm talking about soul-level desires. I'm talking about the kind of wants that are aligned with your purpose. The kind of wants that, if fulfilled, would allow you to be more of who you really are and give more of what you came here to give. Get clear on that. Write it down. Speak it out loud. Pray about it. Meditate on it. And then, and this is the important part, release it. Give it to God. Say, this is what I desire, or something better. I trust that if it's meant for me, it will come. And if something better is meant for me, I'm open to that too. I release my attachment to the how and the when and the who and the where. I trust that you know what's best for me. I trust that your timing is perfect. I trust that you're orchestrating everything for my highest good. And then let it go. Stop obsessing about it. Stop worrying about it. Stop trying to force it. Stop checking every 5 minutes to see if it's happened yet. Live your life. Be present. Do the next right thing in front of you. Take care of your responsibilities. Love the people in your life. Find joy in the small moments. Be kind. Be generous. Be grateful. And trust that while you're doing all of that, God is working behind the scenes, arranging everything in ways you cannot see. Because that's how it works. When you surrender, when you trust, when you let go, you create space for the divine to work. But when you're clutching and grasping and controlling, you block the flow. You get in the way, you slow down or prevent the very thing you're trying to make happen. It's like trying to force a flower to bloom. You can't do it. You can water it, you can give it sunlight, you can provide good soil, but you can't force it to bloom. It blooms in its own time, according to its own inner intelligence. And you are like that flower. You have your own inner intelligence. You have your own timing. And when you trust that, when you cooperate with that, when you surrender to that, you bloom. And let me address something that I know is on a lot of people's minds. You might be thinking, but I've been trusting. I've been praying. I've been doing everything right. And things are still hard. Things are still changing. Things are still uncertain. Why isn't God helping me? And I want you to understand something. God is always helping you. Always. But sometimes the help doesn't look like what you expect. Sometimes the help is in the strength you're developing. Sometimes the help is in the lessons you're learning. Sometimes the help is in the person you're becoming. Sometimes the help is in what's being removed from your life, not what's being added. God's job is not to make your life easy. God's job is not to remove all challenges and obstacles. God's job is not to give you everything you want the moment you want it. God's job is to help you grow into the fullest expression of who you are. God's job is to guide you toward your highest potential. God's job is to love you so much that you're not allowed to stay small and safe and comfortable when you're meant for something greater. And sometimes getting to that something greater requires change. It requires challenge. It requires you to step out of your comfort zone. It requires you to let go of what's familiar. It requires you to trust in what you cannot see. Because if everything stayed the same, if life was always comfortable and predictable and easy, you would never grow. You would never discover what you're truly capable of. You would never develop the depth and wisdom and strength that comes from going through difficult times. So when everything is changing around you, when you can't control what's happening, when you don't know what's coming next, remember this. You are not alone. You have never been alone. You will never be alone. There is a presence with you right now, in you right now, that is wiser than your mind, stronger than your fears, and more powerful than any circumstance you will ever face. This presence knows the way even when you don't. This presence has a plan even when you can't see it. This presence is working for your good even when it doesn't feel like it. Your job is not to figure it all out. Your job is not to control the outcome. Your job is not to make it happen in your timing. Your job is to trust. Your job is to surrender. Your job is to show up each day and do the next right thing with love and integrity and faith. Your job is to keep your heart open. Your job is to stay connected to Source through prayer and meditation and gratitude. Your job is to be kind to yourself and others. Your job is to remember who you really are. And who you really are is not your circumstances. You are not your job title or your bank account or your relationship status. You are not your past mistakes or your current challenges or your future worries. You are a spiritual being having a human experience. You are a piece of the divine, an expression of God, a part of the creative force of the universe. You are infinite potential taking form. You are love itself learning to love. You are consciousness exploring itself through the vehicle of your unique life. When you remember this, when you really know this, when you live from this truth, change becomes an adventure instead of a threat. Uncertainty becomes exciting instead of terrifying. The unknown becomes a canvas for miracles instead of a source of fear. Because you understand that no matter what changes on the outside, the truth of who you are on the inside never changes. Your connection to Source never changes. Your worth never changes. Your value never changes. You are always loved. You are always guided. You are always enough. So trust. Trust in the changes. Trust in the process. Trust in the timing. Trust in yourself. Trust in God. Trust that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. Trust that you're exactly where you need to be. Trust that you have everything you need for this moment. Trust that what's meant for you will not pass you by. Trust that what's leaving your life is making room for something better. Trust that you're being led somewhere beautiful, even if you can't see the destination yet. And on the days when trust feels impossible, when fear is loud and faith is quiet, be gentle with yourself. You're human. You're going to have moments of doubt. You're going to have times when you forget everything you know to be true. And that's okay. That's normal. That's part of the journey. In those moments, just come back to your breath. Come back to the present moment. Come back to the simple truth that you are alive right now, which means God is not done with you yet, which means your story is still being written, which means the best is yet to come. Take it one day at a time, 1 hour at a time, one breath at a time if you need to. Don't try to figure out next year or next month or even next week. Just focus on today. Just focus on this moment. Just focus on the step right in front of you, because that's all you ever have to do. That's all you're ever asked to do. One step at a time, one breath at a time, one moment at a time, trusting that each step is leading you exactly where you need to go. And know this, you are stronger than you think you are. You are braver than you believe. You are more resilient than you realize. You have survived 100% of your worst days. You have made it through every single thing that tried to break you. You are still here. You are still standing. You are still going. And that is proof that there is a power in you that cannot be defeated, a strength in you that cannot be diminished, a spirit in you that cannot be broken. So keep going. Keep trusting. Keep surrendering. Keep believing. Keep showing up. Keep doing your part and letting God do God's part. Keep your heart open even when it's been hurt. Keep your faith strong even when you can't see the evidence yet. Keep your hope alive even when things look hopeless. Because you are never as alone as you feel. You are never as lost as you think. You are never as far from a breakthrough as it seems. The change you're experiencing right now is not the end of your story. It's not even the middle. It's just a chapter. And every good story has chapters that challenge the main character, that test them, that change them, that prepare them for what comes next. This is your chapter of transformation. This is your chapter of growth. This is your chapter of learning to trust what you cannot see, to believe in what's not yet visible, to have faith when faith is all you have. And when this chapter is over, when you look back on this time, you will see it differently. You will see how every closed door led to a better door. You will see how every loss made room for a greater gain. You will see how every disappointment was a divine appointment. You will see how every moment of uncertainty was building your faith. You will see how you were never alone, never forgotten, never abandoned. You will see that God was with you every step of the way, carrying you when you couldn't walk, holding you when you couldn't stand, guiding you when you couldn't see. So breathe. Relax, let go, trust, surrender, allow, receive. You are loved beyond measure. You are supported beyond what you can see. You are guided beyond what you can understand. And everything, absolutely everything, is working together for your good. Trust that. Believe that. Live from that knowing. And watch how your life transforms, not because your circumstances change, although they will, but because you change. Because you learn to trust. Because you learn to surrender. Because you learn to see with spiritual eyes instead of physical eyes. This is your time. This is your moment. This is your opportunity to develop unshakable faith, to cultivate deep trust, to know beyond any doubt that you are held by a love so vast and so powerful that no change, no challenge, no circumstance can ever separate you from it. That love is God. That love is Source. That love is the very essence of who you are. And when you trust in that love, when you surrender to that love, when you allow that love to lead your life, you discover that you were never at risk. You were always safe. You were always guided. You were always exactly where you needed to be. Trust God, trust the process, trust yourself, trust life, and know that no matter what's changing around you, the one thing that never changes is the infinite love and wisdom and power that is breathing you into existence in every moment. That is your foundation. That is your rock. That is your source of strength. And when you build your life on that foundation, nothing can shake you. Nothing can break you. Nothing can stop the good that is meant to flow to you and through you and as you. So go forward in faith. Step into the unknown with confidence. Allow the changes. Welcome the growth. Trust the journey. And know that you are never ever walking this path alone. You are guided. You are loved. You are supported. Always and in all ways. This is the truth. This is the promise. This is the gift that is always available to you when you choose to trust God in the midst of change. You know, there comes a moment in every person's life when the universe begins to shift things around for you. Not because you've done everything perfectly, not because you've figured it all out, but because you're finally ready. You're ready to receive what's been waiting for you all along. And here's what I want you to understand right from the start. When something big is about to come into your life, when God or the universe or whatever you choose to call that infinite intelligence is preparing to hand you something magnificent, there are signs, clear, unmistakable signs that most people miss because they're too busy looking in the wrong direction. The first sign that something extraordinary is coming your way is this. You begin to feel a strange sense of peace even when everything around you seems chaotic. Now this might sound backwards to you. You might think, well, shouldn't I feel excited? Shouldn't I feel energized? But what happens is much more profound than that. You start to feel this inner calm, this quiet knowing that everything is going to work out, even when your logical mind can't see how. Your bank account might be running low, your relationships might be challenging, your job situation might be uncertain, but somewhere inside you, there's this voice that says, it's all going to be okay, something better is coming. This peace isn't about being passive or giving up, it's about being aligned. When you're truly aligned with your higher purpose, when you're in sync with the flow of life, you stop resisting what is. You stop fighting against the current. And in that surrender, in that acceptance of the present moment, you create space for something new to enter. Think about it like this. If your hands are clenched tightly around what you're afraid to lose, how can you receive what's trying to come to you? You can't hold on and receive at the same time. That peace you're feeling is your soul's way of opening your hands, of preparing you to receive. Most people spend their entire lives in a state of anxiety, constantly worried about what might go wrong, constantly preparing for disaster. And you know what they get? Exactly what they're preparing for. But when you start to feel that peace, that calm assurance that transcends your circumstances, you're being prepared for elevation. You're being readied for the next level of your life. Don't dismiss that feeling. Don't think something's wrong with you because you're not panicking like everyone else. That peace is a sign that you're in tune with something greater than your circumstances. The second sign is that you'll start to notice patterns breaking in your life. Things that used to happen over and over again, cycles that you couldn't seem to escape, suddenly begin to shift. Maybe you've always attracted the same type of difficult relationship, and suddenly you find yourself no longer interested in that dynamic. Maybe you've always responded to stress by shutting down, and now you notice yourself handling challenges with a new level of maturity. Maybe you've always struggled with money, and now you're starting to see opportunities you never noticed before. These pattern breaks are crucial because they signal that your consciousness is shifting, and your consciousness is everything. Your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. When your inner world changes, when your beliefs about yourself and what's possible for you begin to transform, your outer world has no choice but to follow. It's law. It's how the universe works. You cannot maintain an elevated consciousness and continue to experience the same limited circumstances. It's impossible. But here's what happens to most people. They start to notice these pattern breaks and they get scared. They think, this doesn't feel like me. This isn't who I am. And they pull themselves back into the old familiar patterns because familiar pain feels safer than unfamiliar growth. Don't do that. When you notice patterns breaking, when you notice yourself responding differently to old triggers, when you notice opportunities appearing that match a higher version of yourself, lean into that. That's not you losing yourself. That's you finding yourself. The third sign that something big is coming is that you'll begin to experience what feels like loss. Now, stay with me on this because this is where most people get confused and discouraged. You might lose a job that you thought was your security. You might lose a relationship that you thought was your forever. You might lose friends who you thought would always be there. You might lose interest in activities that used to fill your time. And on the surface, this feels terrible. It feels like you're moving backwards, like everything's falling apart. But what's really happening is that you're being emptied out to make room for what's coming. The universe is removing what no longer serves your highest good. God is clearing the path. And I know that's hard to see when you're in the middle of it, when you're grieving what you've lost, when you're confused about why everything seems to be falling away. But you have to trust that what's leaving was blocking what's trying to arrive. Think of it like this. If you wanted to fill a cup with fresh, pure water, but that cup was already full of muddy water, what would you have to do first? You'd have to pour out the muddy water. You'd have to empty the cup. The emptying isn't the problem. The emptying is the preparation. And yes, there's a moment between the emptying and the filling when the cup is empty and it feels like you have nothing. That's the moment when most people panic. That's the moment when most people go running back to the muddy water saying, at least it was something. But if you can stand in that empty space, if you can trust the process, if you can know that the emptying is purposeful, then you position yourself to receive what's pure, what's meant for you, what's going to fill you up in a way that the old stuff never could. Every ending is making way for a new beginning. Every loss is creating space for a gain that's aligned with who you're becoming. The fourth sign is that you'll start feeling pulled toward things that don't make logical sense. You'll feel drawn to learn something new. You'll feel compelled to reach out to someone you haven't talked to in years. You'll feel guided to take a different route home from work. You'll feel urged to say yes to an invitation you'd normally decline. And your logical mind will say, why? What's the point? This doesn't fit into my plan. But something deeper in you knows that these impulses are significant. These are what I call divine nudges. They're your intuition speaking to you. They're the universe guiding you toward the connections, the knowledge, the experiences that are going to be essential for what's coming. But you have to be willing to follow them even when they don't make sense, especially when they don't make sense. Because the logical mind can only work with what it already knows. It can only create more of what already is. But your intuition is connected to a higher intelligence that can see the bigger picture, that knows what's around corners you haven't turned yet. Most people ignore these nudges. They talk themselves out of acting on them. They say, that's silly, that's random, that's not practical. And then 5 years later they look back and say, if only I had followed that feeling, if only I had made that call, if only I had taken that class. Don't be that person. When you feel those pulls, those promptings, those gentle urgings towards something that your mind can't explain, honor them, act on them, trust them. They're breadcrumbs leading you to your blessing. The fifth sign is that you'll start to see synchronicities multiply in your life. You'll think of someone and they'll call you. You'll need specific information and it'll show up in a conversation you overhear. You'll be struggling with a question and the answer will appear on a billboard. You'll meet someone randomly who turns out to have exactly what you need. These aren't coincidences. There's no such thing as coincidence. These are confirmations that you're on the right path, that you're aligned, that the universe is orchestrating things on your behalf. When synchronicities start happening frequently, it means you're in flow. It means the veil between the physical and the spiritual is thin for you right now. It means you're paying attention. Most people experience synchronicities all the time, but they dismiss them. They think, oh, that's weird, and then they move on. But when you're being prepared for something big, you start to notice them. You start to recognize them as the signposts they are. You start to see that you're being communicated with, that you're being guided, that you're not alone in this process. Pay attention to the synchronicities. Write them down. Acknowledge them. Thank the universe for them. Because when you give attention to these signs, when you recognize them and appreciate them, you signal to the universe that you're awake, that you're aware, that you're ready to receive more. And the more you acknowledge, the more you'll receive. It's a beautiful cycle of communication between you and the infinite intelligence that's always working in your favor. The sixth sign is that you'll face increasing challenges that seem designed to test you. Right before your breakthrough, you'll often face your biggest breakdown. Right before you level up, you'll face obstacles that make you want to quit. And this isn't the universe being cruel. This isn't God abandoning you. This is the final test.